All right, take 3. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. It's April 27th, 2019. Is our 10th episode, of course. As joining me as usual is Joe. Say hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Exactly. After
at least my name's not Gene, because then I'd be saying hi, Gene.
At least this is the kind of problem that's easy to solve. I mean, unfortunately, it was like, God, trying to fix this. It was just starting and restarting the stream a couple of times, which I'm annoyed about that I had to do, but...
Exactly.
What was your week this week, Joe? Everything, fine, spiffy? Mm-hmm.
Same stuff today.
That's kind of I have to say about that. So why don't we dive into our show for the week, of course. Have a large list of topics to talk about, and we will be talking about what we did tabletop-wise this week anyway, later on. First off, there's the Japanese art planeswalker cards for War the Spark. I want to talk about them. The Starfinder Beginners box has been released by Paizo, and then Paizo is basically partnering with Wizkids to make Starfinder Battle that's scheduled to be out in 2020. It's way ahead of time of talking about this. But to discuss. And then we have the Great Escape 3-in-1 mini card game, which I misspelled in the doc, that I will not be correcting because laziness. There it goes. And then Planet was released by Blue Orange Games, which we'll talk about that too. Start with the Japanese alternate planeswalker cards, because this actually was something that I feel came out of like field. I'm showing Liliana here in the discussions. I mean the art looks cool. I mean it's definitely a very like anime influence to it, but it's not anime and manga artists. It's of the artists that do a lot of different things. So there's a lot of styles to them. Definitely some people that have worked on a lot of different things. I saw some people reviewing the list of people that worked on things, and like the artists that are listed on these cards, and a lot of the artists do a lot of different things online. I mean, actually, I forget. One of them also does do actual Magic cards. So one of them is an artist that we've probably seen some stuff of in the recent years. Some of them are definitely very anime influenced. Like Liliana, definitely, like the one I've got here, has it very much so enough. But it's who did the Liliana, because it's the name of that person. I can't remember what they did, but they are they're like the most famous of them all, basically, is the way to put it. Is that Yoshitaka Amano? God, I should remember, because they were talking about they do the, like, when you see like a Final Fantasy art, all that stuff that's in like the booklets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that does that.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's an artist that does a lot of that kind of like that work there, and that it was familiar.
Okay, anyway. I'd say the most anime of anime. Mm-hmm. Has to be. I don't read Japanese, so I don't know which card it is. But it's a blue-red card for either 2 blue, 2 red, and a colorless.
Oh yeah, the Sariel or something, whatever her name is. I'm bad at it. Yeah, she is definitely the most anime of them all. There's a few other ones that are close in the same style too,
but she's definitely like Magic Girl.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, she definitely stands out as the
I'd say a good half of these are very
anime.
Yeah,
the others, they still are they're very interesting because they're also different art styles. I think like Magic. Yeah, there can be a little bit of different art to it nowadays, but the art is very similar. I would say still the art style to a lot of Magic cards, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It does keep things kind of similar. But if you like look at the early Magic cards, where the artists were very different and the art styles were very different, it's definitely become more homogenized nowadays. So seeing something like this is actually really cool because it brings in different styles a lot. Um, um, and it's kind of different visions of things. That's very neat too. Now, the big thing about this is, like, the first thing, this is a cool thing to do, definitely, but it's only going to be in Japanese packs. So you're instantly saying, like, okay, we're doing this cool thing, we're only doing it in Japan. Now, the thing about this, there's a couple of things that I've seen in my own opinions about it too. We're looking at, like, a promo set that's only in one country. Now, like, people are arguing, you know, okay, you could have put the language on these in English and put them out in English too. There's nothing against that, if they wanted an interesting promo. And the fact is, like, the Jace vs. Chandra, the Japanese version with the anime Jace and anime Chandra, or, like, the anime style, were very popular. Now, it's not for everybody. You know, it's a specialized version of these. And the way that they're saying it is these are not going to be in every pack. They're going to be, like, occasionally replacing, like, I think it's 50% of them are going to be replaced in them. So, in the Japanese packs, half of them will be the ones that we have seen normally in the set with the normal artwork. Half of them will be these. Cool. You know, that's not a huge, like, number discrepancy that makes it feel like it's not possible to get some of these. Which is the other interesting thing about it. The thing about this is, I heard someone say that if you were to buy the entire set of these right now, how they're looking that they're going to be offering them, the current, like, estimations of prices is equivalent to the Mythic Edition for these. Now, granted, you would get more cards, and that's not including the Liliana. Because, again, that's done by a more famous artist. The person that does all, like, the Final Fantasy art, yes, it's going to be a little bit higher up there. But think about it, like, 250 for all the other 35. It feel like the Mythic Edition, because they're not selling it on the Hasbro site now, it's instantly better. But it's, like, the same kind of thing, like, I didn't even realize, you know, the changes that they had to those, as we were talking about them last week, between the first one they came out with, which was a shit show, and the second one, which was just sort of there under the radar. It's also the fact that I also found out that recently, that first Mythic Edition, the one that was really hard to get, it's going for, like, twice the price now, if you wanted to buy it. The one that was on the second one that came out, it's only going for, like, $30 more right now on the secondary market. It's not bad, actually.
No.
And that's the thing is, though, is they had a much larger supply, like they're doing with the Mythic Edition for War of the Spark, meaning it's less special. Like, this is the kind of special thing that I would have liked just in general in any kind of pack. You know, just if you're going to do something special, do it. Because they did, like, the foreign language, they did a specifically, like, Chinese-themed 2 Planeswalker decks, if you don't remember that they put that out. They also put it out in English, because there are a lot more English speakers that play Magic, or people that know a little bit of English, in comparison to those that do Chinese. So, of course, they want to market in multiple places. Well, guess what? There are probably plenty of English speakers or other language speakers that would be interested in these kind of things. I'm sorry, the amount of, like, anime fans that are also speaking, that are here in the US, in Europe, in places like Brazil and Central America, and, like, Mexico and stuff, where people do play Magic. It's a lot. And you're only tailoring to one group, kind of. It just seems like you're not with your head on straight. It was an interesting idea, and I like the idea. You just could have done more with it.
Right.
Like, if these were in boxes, I think, like, my normal idea that I usually try to get a box of Magic, I might have gotten 2 of War of the Spark. I normally just try to get 1 box, and that's my big expenditure and then the fat pack and stuff like that. That's it. That's for me, because I feel like I can get most of the collection, and if I want to fill in the blanks, eventually I can just spend the money on it, and it would be cheaper.
Right.
With something like this, it's not going to be cheaper, because they are 1 and 2 still, making them a kind of hard thing to find. I don't know.
I think the other way they could have went on the opposite side of the spectrum is make a unique one in every country they release.
That would have been very cool. Not impossible to do, but like a unique thing, like of local artists. Like, there are people that have unique styles of art here in the US you could have gone to that would have been different than the average style you would have. I could say the same for, yes, in Europe, in South America, you have a lot of artists that have very unique styles that would have been great to do that with. So I agree.
Yeah.
That would have been...
So it's like, if you're going to do it for one country, you might either offer it in all countries or do that for each country, giving it to each one its own cool thing.
Then I can't deny that Japan is also a huge Magic the Gathering market. It's like, I don't know if it's second to US, but I know US is still the top dog because it's where it comes from. But it is one of the larger markets for Magic. It's one of those unusual things that, you don't hear as much about, but it really is. Because a lot of card games are popular in Japan. They came up with a lot of card games. Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Card Fight Vanguard. Those are all originated from Japanese. It came from Japan and came over to here. They're big on card games, Right. We are too. But, it's like, I feel like there's just something off about the release here, and I don't understand Wizards from it.
It's weird just to do it for one country.
Yeah. It's like we're doing special something to commemorate this event in Japan. What about here? With your new market, with not being on the Hasbro site, they can ship the War of the Spark Mythic Edition globally now. I think they're going off of their eBay store, as we said last week.
Right.
They have a shipping network in place now. Great! So, not that they don't do a lot for us in the US. I'm not going to deny that, because it's their home country. Wizards is here in the US. Wizards is with us. We can easily get a lot of stuff. But I'm saying is, like, I feel like we, as your biggest market, don't want to be left out. Because we are your biggest market, Wizards. Don't shank your biggest market, make them feel left out. Because I certainly wouldn't be spending the large amount of money on these, I don't think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely just strange to be like, we're going to just do this for this market, and that's it.
Well, there is one positive thing they do say, is they've made Japanese boosters available to retailers around the world. So that means they're sold in more places, but then it comes down to...
They're also in Japanese.
Yeah, so how much... If I'm going to a local game store, how many boxes of the Japanese are they going to get in comparison? Like, Portal, which is a big place, will probably pick up some. The place that's nearby me, that's very local, probably not many. Also, will these be of higher price, too? Because we don't have the MSRP. That's the other thing. Because they are special, they might also go to a higher price automatically. So it's sort of like we have problems. It's like, yes, we could provide them, but they're still on Japanese. They're apparently going to put them in one other place, which is the Wizards Play Network promo packs that will be out during the Core Set 2020 in 1 and 4 packs there.
Okay.
And that's nice, but it involves you getting involved in a lot of, like, their Magic events, which it's like, I can't do a lot of those things. Sorry. I don't have a place that's local. The place that's closest is still like a half an hour away, and I tend to be busy on, like, Friday Night Magics. I can never go to a Friday Night Magic. I'd have to plan ahead for that. I've been very busy on Fridays with things. A couple days I've had open, but then it's like when you have it open is you feel like driving at half an hour to and from a place.
Right. No, very true.
I don't know. I feel like they could have handled this a little better. You know? It's the possibility of me picking it up exists if I'd be interested in it. But again, I agree. It's all in Japanese. And as much as I don't mind playing with Japanese cards, I don't play with a lot of foreign language cards because I don't want to be like, I have to look up what my card does. And my Japanese is rusty. And there's certainly plenty of words on these cards I will not be able to read. You know?
I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah, I look at the cards and I'm like, I could probably get smatterings of these. That's it. Smatterings. I could not read the entire text of the card. I would need to look it up every time, and that is a hassle.
And not even a half of a hassle.
Yeah. So it's like, sure, cool. Like the planeswalkers themselves, if they were still in Japanese, I wouldn't even mind that if they were in English language packs. Because I don't want the rest of my cards in Japanese necessarily. Because I'm not going to play with them. I'm a collector and a player. And also, I don't collect foreign language cards. So it's really just going to be something sort of, like, extra for me. Like, an unnecessary extra. If I would go to, like, Portal and stuff and buy some of them. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a weird choice. And the thing is, they're doing so well with this set, introducing, different types of planeswalkers that with different rarity levels now and everything.
Yeah.
Like, they were doing everything so right, and then they do something like this.
It's because it's not necessarily, like, a bad thing overall, because it's not really interfering with the set. It's just this weird side promo that is interesting, but I just feel like there's way too many flaws in their experiment this time.
Right.
They just needed somebody, like, talk with some of the fans and be like even like in a couple other countries and be like, hey, would you like these kind of like kind of thing in your country?
Right.
That's all you would have done. Or if there was some other kind of like side product, like not necessarily like they do the planeswalker packs. You could have had like some of the, because there are only a certain number of rare and mythic planeswalkers in the entire set. I wouldn't have minded like a set of like 10 planeswalker boxes or something like that like some of them had the mythics in the front and then they had a number of other ones like the common ones in the back, or 5. You could have sold like 5 or like just like, yeah, we could have done 10. We could have done like just 10 combinations, thrown them out there, sold them. You could have like had like 3 or 4 planeswalkers a box and would have been great. Would have been great because there's plenty of common ones, or uncommon ones. I'm sorry, uncommon ones and just the rare ones. And then it's like you could have just done something special and put together a deck together with them or something, and it would just been like a Japanese language deck. It would have been something special. It would have included these cards. It would have been an alternate thing. It would have been an alternate product, so they would have increased in value anyway because of their specialness. You could have sold them across the world. It would have included cards that, yes, you would have gotten a bunch of like Japanese language cards with them, but it would have been in deck format anyway. I think that would have been a much better idea, and it would have made us feel better. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird choice overall.
I'm beginning to rant a little bit about it, so I think we should probably move on before I get like way too worked up a little bit, because there's just something about this that's just got me worked up about like the way they did it. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I just feel like could have done better.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about Starfinder then, of course. So let's talk about Starfinder Battles, which is a product that is going to be developed with Wizkids by Paizo for release in 2020. We don't have a lot of information about it right now. Oh, geez. I'm trying to get the image up here quickly. The only image I could find, which is not a really great image, but it was up on Wizkids' site, and it does the job. There we go. It just says Wizkids Starfinder Battles. It's like a miniatures line kind of thing. And like they're bringing a brand new line of Starfinder pre-painted miniatures, and they're calling it Starfinder Battle, similar to the Pathfinder battles that they've had before. So we know what we're getting into. Pathfinder battles, I've seen them. I've never been quite interested in them. The Starfinder ones, it sounds like a cool idea. You know, we're going space travel, and very alien, very different than Pathfinder really is. And they're planning a release in 2020 is the thing, which is a little ways out, actually. Like, I feel like... I don't know. It's this weird point when I'm thinking about this here, that maybe waiting to 2020 is not a bad idea because we have Pathfinder 2.0 coming out.
Right.
But on the other hand, Starfinder is growing pretty decently, and do they want to wait to do this even more than they've already kind of waited instead of just throwing this in here together? I don't know what would be the better idea here, kind of talking about it. I mean, personally, I never was big on the Pathfinder battles line at all, because I had my go at a miniatures game with D&D miniatures, and I'm kind of enough of after that, you know.
Right.
I just didn't want to get into another kind of premium miniatures thing. Now okay, go ahead.
I can understand that.
I was going to say, now I think it's a little better that they're more... It's not like a random set of things. It is just a set of miniatures. But the sheer fact is, some of them are pretty costly for what you get. Like, just quickly looking it up here, the normal going price, the MSRP for the Pathfinder Battles Iconic Heroes set of 6 miniatures is $30. $30. D&D,
that's a little expensive.
Yeah, D&D miniatures were like, I think they were a little expensive, but they weren't too bad. They were around like $10 a box or something like that, I think it was.
Like 10 or 12, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It's like when I was comparing it at the time to like Magic, and it was another collectible thing. It felt okay because it was a physical, like, little plastic miniature that looked really well. And I'm not saying that their plastic miniatures aren't really well painted, and they might be more quality painted and quality put together than the D&D ones were. That is for sure. But like triple the price point, I don't know about that. I think that's where I'm like kind of feeling a little off about the entire thing. What do you think? I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, that is a bit of a pain of a price point. And they could do I think that's going a little overboard.
Yeah.
And I'm also just like you, I'm not ready to get back into another miniatures thing at all.
No.
Miniatures can be fun, but...
No, and they've put out a lot of things to do with the Pathfinder Battle series, so it's not like the Iconic Heroes are just one portion of it. And they do have some booster cases too to go along with this. So it's like you can get the pre-made boxes and the other, like, you know, open-ended boxes. So that's neat. But like, I don't know if the original MSRP, but I was looking up trying to find out some of the prices of the Pathfinder battles here. And for one of their, I guess, it looks like a huge size miniatures, It's going for 40 right now.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it's their Earth Elemental. And it looks really cool. A lot better than the D&D miniatures Earth Elemental. I will not deny that. But again, when the huge ones were out, they were like 15. So I'm spending like 3 times the price for these. They don't feel like 3 times the price worth of material. Unless maybe I like try, if I would get one of these and feel the plastic, and it would be like a heavy duty plastic or something like that. Something that'll stand up to the tests of time. Maybe.
Even then.
Yeah, even then it's still like, I don't know. Like another good example here for another $40 ones is they also have a large water elemental, and I'm sorry, it looks cooler than any of the water elementals that ever were out in the D&D miniatures one. It's got like all kinds of crazy tentacles and stuff. You know, it's really cool looking. But $40?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be the same price point as it is with Pathfinder battles. There's no other way that it couldn't be the same price point.
Right.
And they have released a lot of collector sets and a whole bunch of the iconic heroes, and then like the other little things that go along with it. So I mean, I don't know. Wow. I don't know how much those prices of the small ones are, but the original small, there was 2 okay, just because I want to look up some things on Pathfinder battles, a little history here. The original standard boosters contained 1 medium or 2 small creatures. The large boosters contained 1 large miniature. The bricks contained 16 standard boosters and 3 large boosters. A case contained 4 bricks. And it seems like they had 41 different things, including a black dragon that was a case bonus. It seems like some of the things that are the huge ones go along with certain like sets. It seems like
Right.
the or like the adventure paths, because they're made for the battle batches. So like the Kingmaker one had the water elemental and stuff. Where's Kingmaker? There it goes. Yeah, and those were the 2 huge ones they had, were the water elemental and which were case ones. You'd have to buy a case of these things to get the huge ones.
Right.
That's a hell of a thing. Case incentives. Oh boy. Yeah. The case incentives contained 1 non-random huge figure each. Oh god, a case was... Oh my god, I just looked it up here and I just found it out. A case goes for $400. A standard booster with a single... Okay.
Oh my god.
The standard booster, which contains... In this point in time, it's $15 and it contains 1 large figure and 3 medium or small figures. So for 4 figures, $16. 8 of those boosters were in a brick for $115, and then 4 bricks for $400. Wait.
Jesus.
The math doesn't seem quite right there. It does for the... Because 8 would be 60. You're saving $5 on a brick when you go to that level. And you are saving money when you go to a case, too. It just doesn't feel good. I'm sorry. This is just ridiculously expensive. I didn't even know it was this bad for the Pathfinder miniatures. I always saw them, but I never looked up the price.
Yeah, I never really looked them up either. Jeez.
Again, I've never seen one, so maybe if I would pick it up and look at the quality, I would say, alright, I can see why this is ridiculous quality. Maybe. But I'm sorry.
Even if it's ridiculous quality, it's still...
If it's like metal, maybe? If they actually are metal and painted really well?
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to be metal for it to be that expensive, but I don't think they are.
God, no, I don't think they are. Like, D&D minis had it right. Like, even with some inflate... Look, Magic card prices haven't changed that much. Even D&D miniatures, if they had changed in price a little bit, I couldn't see, like, the standard boosters going up more than, like, 15. Like, a 50% raise. And maybe the huge ones being up there. And, like, I'm sorry, some of their quality was still pretty dang good. Maybe not, like, up to snuff here, but, again, I don't see this price
I'd rather be able to afford them.
Yeah. Oh. And have a lot more random, because these are still technically random for some of them.
Yeah.
The iconic ones, which are going for like 25 for 6 miniatures, that's not random. The big ones are going for like a leg, and maybe an arm.
Maybe I could just buy the arm or the leg of the miniature.
So getting back to, of course, where this comes from, you know it's going to be exactly the same for Starfinder. As cool as it would be to have Starfinder miniatures, you need disposable income to have them. I'm sorry. There's no way I would have the disposable income for this kind of thing.
Not that kind of disposable, no.
There are much things I would rather spend my disposable income on than this. That's definite.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if, like, one of the iconic characters, or, like, even sometimes some of the monsters, or, like, because they can be NPCs, too, would represent a character that you want to play, knock yourself out, buy it individually. It might be pricey, but it would be worth it to always get that miniature that, if you're playing with miniatures, represents you. It's always cool. Right. But there's a lot of other better ways to represent tokens and stuff than spend all your money here. Unless you have the money for it, and you love these kind of things, more power to you. More power to you. I'm not saying don't get them. I'm just saying, like, I don't think this price point is really great. Sorry, Paizo. It's one of the... I guess this even might be one of the reasons I never quite looked into it. Because maybe I saw some of the prices before on some of, like, the little boosters. It was like, that can't be right. What are you offering in here that's so expensive? That might have been in my brain before. And now I know. Jack Diddley.
Yeah. But I think we should move on off of that one.
Yeah, again, it's another one that's getting me all, like, preachy.
It's something that should have came out a while ago.
Yeah, something that should have came out a while ago. The Starfinder Beginners box. Yes!
I don't know why these things aren't created initially when you release the system.
Like, the Pathfinder one, I think, was out pretty quickly towards the beginning of it.
Yeah.
The D&D one was out right away.
This is what, 2 years in?
Something like that. Yeah, okay, yeah, it would be 2 years in. Because Starfinder was out and very early on in its development 2 years ago at PAX Unplugged when we both went.
Yeah.
When we got a chance to try Starfinder.
We were trying it, and it was already available. So it's been out for about 2 years, and they're finally making a beginner box.
Yeah.
To me, this is something that should be early on in the development, ready to release, if not when you release the game, soon after.
Like, I can't say that Pathfinder Beginner Box was out that early on, because when I came into Pathfinder, the Beginner Box was there. And I wasn't there at the very beginning of Pathfinder.
Right, but I'm saying beginner boxes in general, for any system.
Yes, it really should be out.
If you're going to do it, you should do it initially, because that's what's going to draw people in and make it easier for people to learn.
Or even if you're not out, like, early enough, you could be basically put it on the schedule or something. Like, so people have an eye of, like, oh, this is when the beginner box is coming out. Maybe I want to get into the game then. I hadn't heard anything about the beginner box until now. Now, granted, it might have been one of their announcements that I missed, because they do have a lot of announcements, and I don't go through every detail of every announcement Paizo makes, because a lot of them are about, Pathfinder 2.0 development, and, like, sometimes about their iconic heroes and things like that they're trying to put together, and they sneak things in places. Okay.
Oh, you're getting 80 pawns.
That's cool.
That's actually really nice. You're getting 80 minis.
Well, I think it's going to be the little, like, standy minis, but still, those are cool.
No, they're plastic. I'm looking at the video right now. They're plastic. They're just all black. So they're not, like, painted miniatures. But they are actually plastic 3D miniatures.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, no, wait. It looks like it, but maybe not, because now I'm reading more, too. Oh, no, those were just No, that was just the... I had it shrunk down, and that was just the standee pieces that I was seeing that were black. So, no, they are quite like cardboard standees.
Well,
the 80 of them is nice.
And the thing is, as not someone that has gotten them, but we have a friend, Blaze, who's gotten the cardboard standees for Pathfinder. They're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Those are actually a pretty good quality. They have actually... That's one of those things, is those little pawn things they did, I thought they were already really good quality. They did something like that. I was like, oh, that's a cool thing. That was an opportunity to get a lot of, like, miniatures without buying miniatures. And the thing is, they put their actual artwork on those pawns so you could recognize what these things were. So
so you're getting the 80 pawns, 24 bases, you're getting 6 pre-generated and 6 blank character sheets. 6 player aid cards, which I think they had those when we tested it.
Yeah.
Which is nice for quick reference, and a double-sided flip mat.
I don't know if it'll have anything on the flip map. It might just be like draw your own stuff and just be a simple map. But maybe like one side might be space and the other side might just be like, I don't know. Well, we'd have to see the flip map. But
plus the hero's handbook and a game master's guide.
Yeah, and it's $40 for the print edition, which is not bad for everything here.
I'm trying to scroll through the video quickly here to see if they show what the flip mat looks like.
Okay, let me know if they show it. But no, this is a good thing. I will never deny that something like a beginner's box is a good thing. It is an intro thing for new people. Granted, it's more for, I think, like, I'm a group of people, we're all new to this. Maybe we're all new to Pathfinder. Maybe not new to role-playing, but new to Pathfinder, and we want to jump in somewhere and test it out. Especially if you have some actual new players, it's not a bad place to start. Even for people that are new GMs, this is usually a place to start, because they include a little adventure normally.
Oh no, it's a very nice, thick flip mat with
cool
different... There's one, it looks like one side's just generic square tiles, and the other side is actually places. So, I mean, it's something extra. It's something nice. Nothing like too fancy.
Yeah. And it looks like they give some basic information stuff in all the different books, just kind of get you working into how to play Starfinder, which is a fine thing. And apparently it says it's a short solo adventure, and that's the Steel Talons Lair adventure. So I don't know if it's a one-on-one or if it would actually be able to be with, because they got the 6 pre-generated characters.
Well, it might be like what we played.
They might not mean solo as in like single player, but like solo as you play it on its own.
Yeah, I think it's solo as you play it on its own. I think that was what we played actually when we were testing it. So it might be that original test adventure,
which we only did like an account. Like we did 2 parts of it, but like there was 6 parts to the entire thing.
Right.
I remember.
So that's what it could be. Is that it's
all 6 parts put together. That was that when we pre-tested it. 2 years, a year and a half ago at this point, technically, but still, when we play tested it then, that might be what it was. So no, that's neat. It sounds familiar. I would have to find I have that paper somewhere that said we did the play test.
It's probably in my one backpack still.
Yeah, no, because I always thought about, if we could ever do more of it, but never had an opportunity to, but still.
Yeah.
No, it's, yes, I'm agreeing with you. Great item. Should have had it out sooner. Like, I feel like this is the kind of thing that if I'd seen it last year, around this time of year, I would have been fine with it. Because that would have still been, like, maybe a year on, but I'm like, oh, okay, they're finally, like, because they're finally got, like, all their books out, they're getting all their things together, they're now throwing this out. It feels a year late.
Yeah.
So,
I don't understand waiting to come out with a beginner's box.
I don't know either. Okay, so it was August of 2017, so they're not quite 2 years, but they're certainly over a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yep. We are a year and 8 months after it came out. So yes, if I had seen this at this time of year last year, I thought it would have been better. You know, that's what it would have been, less than a year before the beginner's box came out. Again, like, if we compare it, though, I don't know when the Pathfinder Beginner's Box came out, but it certainly came out at a point in time that when we got into it, you know, we were able to get it. But and then, like, the D&D one was out with it right away. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Which, that one makes the most sense of, hey, you know, here's something new, and here's how you can get started with it.
Yeah, no.
I think they did that with 4th edition, too.
They might have done it. That's true. They might have done it.
I'm pretty sure that they did, because I got it pretty early. Okay, the year of production was 2012 for the Pathfinder Beginner Box.
Okay, so 2012, the Pathfinder Beginner's Box came out, and Pathfinder itself... No, Pathfinder itself was originally published in August of 2009, so it's a ways out. But you also have to consider, it's like there's a difference in these things, too. Because
that was the start of a whole new system, where this is an expansion of one.
Yeah, like, at the point in time that they came into this, I don't know if they thought that Pathfinder would be successful anyway. Like, if we compare and contrast here, you know, D&D, when they're coming up with 5th edition, and even, like, 4th edition, they're like, we're changing the rules, it's our popular game, people are going to want to know how to do this basically, and we want new players in it. Pathfinder always aimed for the 3.5 crowd, I feel like, initially. So that's why they didn't have a beginner's box as soon, because they're aiming for a different crowd. They're kind of aiming for that side crowd to the everything. So.
Yeah.
But, you know, still, it's like, I don't know the full release schedule of products for Pathfinder was anyway. So I don't know how well they did in those early years. But with Starfinder, they had their lessons. I feel like they should have had it sooner. Just because they had their lessons. Agree. They have been successful as a company, Paizo has, should have learned those lessons, should have gone about those lessons the correct way. Should
Agreed.
Anyway, so the Starfinder Beginner's Box is out now. If you want to get a Starfinder, I would recommend a Beginner's Box. The Pathfinder Beginner's Box is very good. Just many Beginner's Boxes are very good for getting into a game system. So I would always recommend checking them out if that's something you want to do to at least learn the basics.
And you're getting some free dice, too.
Free dice, learn some basics, and the pawns. You know.
And the pawns, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's worth it.
It is worth it if you really need that introduction. Like, if you are someone that definitely has a lot of experience, and you're going to be playing a lot of experienced players, you're probably not going to need it. But
yeah, but even if you're an experienced player, though, I would say if you're not experienced with this system yet, then it's still worth it.
Yeah, it's easier as an easier introduction than trying to read your way through the book. Not that reading through the book doesn't help, but anyway.
No, I mean you should still do that, but it's an easy way to get everyone familiar with it quickly.
Very true. All right, let's move on from major role-playing games to a couple of board games I do want to talk about here, or / card games. And let's start with, of course, the Great Escape, which let me just get the image up here for the browser. Right there. Boom. Hey.
By Zadorf.
Yes, Zadorf, which is a company I really haven't called about. Zadorf Mini Card Games, they call it. So I guess Zadorf focuses on mini card games, which is a fine thing. It's a 3-in-1 mini card game for this one. That's why I think that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it was the 3-in-1. And that's an interesting thing. It's basically your mission as an escape officer is to help the POWs plan and escape 3 tunnel escapes and make their way across country avoiding capture. Yeah, they have a how to play, a great escape. There's tunneling, escaping, and capturing mechanics. There's stages, like stage 1 is tunneling, and they got kind of tunnel rules. Stage 2 is escaping, and they got escape examples. And stage 3 is capture, where you can try to be captured. They say it's 3 in 1, but I'm kind of curious, because I'm curious as to how,
I'm looking at the rules now.
Like, looking through the rules, I'm pretty sure, like...
I don't see 3 games.
Well, it's a trick to the game. And that's the thing. Because there are 3 different...
Oh, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3.
Exactly.
Stage 1 is tunneling, played using the middle section of the cards. Stage 2 is escape, which is playing the top section of the cards. And stage 3 is capture, playing using the bottom section of the cards. So
you really do want to play all 3 together, but they are played as almost separate games.
Yeah.
Like, the stage 1 is like, I'm playing a game where I'm trying to build a tunnel, kind of thing, and build the best tunnel or something like that. And then stage 2 becomes like, I'm trying to escape through a tunnel, kind of thing. See, it says all cards used for tunneling are removed from the game. The next card in the deck is turned face up to reveal escaping POW and their escape items. Continue to review cards and place them face up until you reveal the guards. The POWs have been spotted escaping, and stage 3 begins.
And then you're playing the guards, trying to capture your players.
Yes. But there's, like... I feel like there isn't a lot to stage 2. So it's like... I feel like that one is the one that I feel like is the weakest out of all of these kind of things, just by reading it. And then stage 3 is like... So it's interesting that they have 3 sets of cards in one set of cards. And they're kind of playing it separately that way, but it doesn't feel as separately. So, like, when they call it a 3-in-1 mini card game.
Well, maybe though, with the escape part, some of the stuff you get makes it then harder for you to be harder for the capture part. So I think that's what it is it's setting up. It's almost setting up for the next stage.
Yeah. It really is more of a setup than anything. They have a lot of, like, tunnel rules. But, like, the escape one just feels weak in comparison to this one. And, like, there's escapee items and stuff like that, which I guess are...
I just don't know how you win, because it doesn't say, like, what the winning condition is.
Yeah. The guards spotting the POW's escape take no action. Any POWs not captured after all the cards have been received receive an escape score. The spy cannot be captured and will always score -1. Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, if you look at the escape people, each person has a number. So I guess that's...
It feels like...
almost a one-player game, then.
Yeah. This feels like a one-player game. Yeah. It does say single-player 48-card game.
Oh, it's a single-player game, then. That's why.
It's a solitaire game.
Yeah.
It's more interesting now, in a way.
And that makes sense, then, with the points left over of what you actually...
Yeah, it's like, I was able to score this many points.
Yeah.
But it's very random, though, because you're flipping over cards, kind of thing. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, solitaire is really random.
That's true. It is very solitaire, and it's sort of like playing against... Solitaire is playing against the deck, more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's playing against the deck for this one, too. So it's fancy solitaire.
Yeah, it's interesting. They also have 2 other games out.
No, they have 2 other games that they talk about with their rules here.
Fat Turkey.
Yep.
That's 2 to 9 turkeys.
Mm-hmm.
Farmer Jack is busy trying to fatten up his turkeys ready for market. As one of the turkeys, your aim is to try to keep your weight down to avoid being selected.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like there's food cards with different values, feed me card, a poop card,
Yep.
and a farmer card.
And there's the other one they have, which is about skeletons wearing top hats, basically.
Bonehead.
I mean, they have interesting little games, and I think I don't know if we talked about, but I think we saw something about the turkey one before. I recognize that one. We might not have talked about it. It might have been one that I looked at and was like, nah, let's not talk about that one.
Mm.
But we talk about a lot.
But
of
that
games.
one looks like it's the only one that's actually multiplayer. Bonehead's 2 to 9. Sorry.
So this is the unique one out of all the games they released, but it's £8, which I don't know.
$10 out of the country, or £10.99 with delivery for international.
Okay.
So
I can look at pounds to dollars quickly. You said $10.99?
Yeah.
$14.19 with international shipping.
Yeah, and that's with shipping, so it's not really that bad.
I mean, if you get lucky and a company shipped it in, like a store shipped it in, it'd be $10. It is $10 retail. That's basically what it is for the price they offer here without the shipping. So, I mean, for shipping internationally, it's not a bad price, but again, it's like...
No, you're only paying a couple bucks for shipping.
It fits at this point of time where I think I would not be the person to get it just because
None of these interest me enough.
And the solitaire one, The Great Escape, that especially just because it's solitaire and I would rather play actual solitaire if I'm going to play a card game with myself.
Well, it's interesting enough that I would try it, but I don't know if I would buy it.
That's a good point, too. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, there's a couple other games that I have that you can totally play as your own that I don't know if I would ever play them. Listing off them, Elder Sign, Arkham Horror, and I'm pretty sure Fortune and Glory, all of those you can play as one player. I have never considered playing any of them with one player.
Oh god, Fortune and Glory, just the setup time alone.
I mean, Arkham Horror has a pretty awful setup time if you're not careful.
Yeah,
especially because
I'm just saying, just to play with yourself, it's like, no.
The only one that doesn't have the worst setup time is Elder Sign, and that's just barely because it's just barely less setup time, you know?
That one, maybe if you're doing it on, like, tabletop.
Yeah, I don't know.
And playing with yourself that way.
Yeah.
You know, a scripted version, that would be as bad.
No.
And if like you were doing like a run-through video or something, you could be like, hey, I'm going to show you the solo mode to give you an example of this game.
That would be interesting to do. But no, I feel like it's just still not.
It, like I said, only with tabletop, because with a scripted version would it be practical.
It's getting into just the single-player game market. It isn't a huge market because I think it's like... Single-player board games, they have a place out there. I'm not going to argue against them. They are something more than solitaire for people that like doing something on their own and don't want to like play a video game or watch a TV show. Just want to sit down somewhere and maybe do something a little
challenge
bit more
their mind.
Yeah, and a little bit more physical.
Yeah.
Hey, this might be for you. It's an interesting concept. Interesting cards. You know, they use some good things. So. Heck, maybe it's for you. So, why don't you check it out for yourself, see if it's what you want, etc., etc. The Great Escape. We got to talk about it. I missed that it was single player. That was the one word I missed. I think I browsed over it, but it just didn't register in my brain. It was one of those things about like, oh, yeah, this is interesting. It's got like a lot of interesting stuff about it. Anyway, let's talk the last topic for today, Planet. So Planet is done by Blue Orange Games, and let me get us a picture of it right here. And just adjust this here so we don't have a lot of background crap. Hey, there, it showed up nicely. It's about taking the world into your own hands. You take the role of a super being and compete to create perfect worlds with ideal conditions for wildlife to flourish in. It's a unique game where each player's board is a 12-sided, three-dimensional planet core. You get a giant D12. That's your planet, with the landscapes representing oceans, deserts, mountains, frozen lands.
And you get tiles that go on it that are magnetic.
Mm-hmm. You get like a magnetic core, which you get 4 of them, and then you can place the magnetic, and they get 50 magnetic continents. So I mean, this is kind of cool. I'm gonna say that there. The idea of it is cool, and it's only $40 for something that's this cool and has the kind of three-dimensional aspect. I'm on board for it. You know, you don't get a huge amount of stuff. You get the cores, the 50 tiles, 45 animal cards, 5 natural habitat objective cards, and a first player token. And it's basically you're trying to like win animals over with the best and fulfill your natural habitat objective to create the most populated planet in the universe. So I'm thinking each player has an objective. It's 4 players, so that, with 5
2
objectives.
to 4 players.
2 to 4 players with 5 objectives.
30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, so it doesn't take long, and it's got this cool concept of you have a magnetic, like, cube. Or I'm sorry. I'm not remembering the 12-sided dice.
Oh, God. I forgot. I know 10 is deck.
12-sided polygon. It is a dodecagon.
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 Do means 2, duh.
Yeah. I would not have remembered off the top of my head because I forget these things a lot.
You're a dodecadon.
Well, actually, no, it wouldn't be dodecagon, it would be dodecahedron.
Yeah, dodecahedron, yeah.
Because the dodecagon would be just a 12-sided shape. Dodecahedron would be the 12-sided...
3D shape.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, your brain's a dodecahedron. How's that? Or dodeca... Yeah, hedron. Now you said it right. Yay.
You fail.
You're mine. No. And you're just basically trying to attract every turn. If there's a card, you track those animals. Whoever has the largest territory normally of that type.
Yeah, it's effectively you're trying to get the best, like, these animals, and you have to like mess around with the habitats you have, and you have a goal, I'm guessing, of certain types of animals or certain things that you have to get in order to win the game. And I guess
you want the largest population.
Well, it seems like you have a natural habitat objective card. So maybe the largest population might be your objective kind of thing, though. So each one would have their own objective that you'd have to try to reach.
Right.
So, yeah, that's cool. This one looked interesting. I like the idea of the little magnetic planets. It's really a cool thing. I think that's like, it's a novel idea, but it's novel enough to get me interested, kind of thing. And $40 is not a bad price for something like that too, I'd say. For like a little magnetic planet. I would probably want to check this out sometime physically just to see how well it actually works, though. It's the only thing. Because that might make a difference. It's like the crappy sliders or the little things like that on Betrayal at House of the Hill when you're actually playing it. It is crappy. It does not work that well. It is interesting, but it still is crappy.
Yeah.
They never quite work quite right, and it's kind of annoying. That's the only reason I would ever think to buy the premium stuff for Betrayal at House of the Hill, but money. The ones that work better. So I would really want to see how well they actually work.
Yeah.
That might be hard to do, just to, like, unless someone has a test one somewhere. But it looks really cool. It's a cool idea. Alright, well, that is it for our normal topics today, our regular segments that we have so many of usually, and we're going to move on to our regular segments that we talk about each week. So, let's start with our deeper discussion. I don't think we have a really necessarily review at this point in time. We did play a new game. I like to review... We
played enough... Okay, go ahead.
I really try to stick to our review things when we're actually like asked to review things for our deeper discussion. We can talk about it great in our our week in tabletop, but I mean we did do a new game, but also like I think you played that game a lot more than me anyway, so maybe
I only played it one more round than you did.
It was an interesting game, but like I think it was a Kickstarter game.
Yes.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's do our Kickstarter Korner first, though. Do you have anything for our mighty and powerful Kickstarter Korner for us this week?
Yes. Give me a moment.
Sure.
I have World Domination.
Ooh.
It's kind of a political satire of aliens came in, took our smartest people, and left all the dumb people to fend for themselves. And everyone has a country that you're trying to become the best country of dumb people.
All right, then.
Let me see. They have met goal. They've beaten goal already. Oh no, they haven't. I'm sorry. One of the other ones I was looking at before had. They're at 2,374 out of 18,000. But they have 25 days left to go.
Okay, so they're like pretty early on into their entire thing. So they got a ways to go. Okay.
But it kind of looks like a cool, interesting, fun little game. It's a board/card game. And you're trying to build up resources. So it's a bit of a resource gathering game too. Now, they were saying that like America and Russia starts off almost seemingly unfairly as the easiest to get resources, but it levels out very quickly in the game.
Okay.
Looks like something cute, fun. If you have, and there's political satire thrown in as well. So if you have that kind of mindedness, I can tweet today. This might be something that your gaming group could have fun with. It is. Let's see. For I'm just trying to see how much. $52, but it is. If you look at, there's a lot of pieces that go into it, so. Okay. It's actually not like off the price that it should be.
All right, neat.
Yeah, I figured it was something cool, little cute and fun to talk about.
Cool. Well, I do want to mention one just because we do talk about some big name Kickstarters occasionally, so I just want to mention this up, and it's Come On Games has launched a Bloodborne card game or board game. Now, this is an interesting one because I don't know if Come On were the people that did the Dark Souls board game. But Bloodborne is very Dark Souls. It's done by the same people that did it. So it's one that maybe you want to watch out there just because if you like the Dark Souls board game, and it's interesting from what I've seen. Not necessarily what I would go for, personally, but if someone offered to, I probably wouldn't buy it. But I wouldn't be against playing it, let me put it that way. But no, they launched it, and it is at a ridiculous thing right now. So I'm just going to put it that way. It is. They wanted 200,000. They are nearly at 2 million. So, hey, it's a thing to keep an eye on, and maybe support it if you do like the Dark Souls board game.
Cool.
Yep. But I really wanted to talk about one of the RPGs that were kind of being talked about this week, which there were a number of them that kind of were like interesting. There's a couple of fantasy ones that are up on Kickstarter now, and dark fantasy, but I kind of wanted to hit on a little bit of two different ones here. And the first one is a town called Malice. And it's an RPG. It's like a Nordic horror story, they call it, kind of game. So they're taking a lot of like Nordic noir. Things like Broadchurch, The Killing, A Girl the Dragon Taught To, and do a little bit of the horror of things like 30 Days of Night, The Thing, and stuff like that, and take it together to kind of put up this RPG you can play.
Cool.
Yeah, they've got a story pillar system, which I've heard the story pillar system before, but I don't know a lot about it. It uses a lot of elements of games like Fiasco, too, kind of developing where players are meant to narrate a lot of things, you know. So it's like players help keep put the things together. Though there is a like person actually in charge, you know, it's a little different. It does have a lot of that elements that, like, as players say things, it adds to the narrative kind of thing. And I think it's the story pillar system. It's like, you know, it's made to be very story driven. They do have an example of playing some of the kind of things like that, and, you know, by the people that do this. So, yep. They have met their first goal. So they've funded with 26 days to go. And they have some number of other stretch goals, which is more play sets. You know, different like little miniature adventures that you get with it, which they're planning at 10, 15, and 20,000. Each of them 2 more play sets. The 20,000, they haven't said anything about it, but they give you little like information about like one of the ones at 10,000 is everybody knows this legend of a witch. It's about to tell the spooky bedtime stories, and then 3 teenagers are found dead in the woods, and the bedtime story is becoming real. Ooh. So cool. I like the idea of the noir horror, definitely.
Yes.
That's like it's an interesting mix, and because like we've been getting a little bit more of the Nordic idea of mythology in a lot of things, this is a point in time that it actually comes in very interestingly. And the other one I just want to shout this one about a little bit is it's Monster Punk, an RPG that is also funded. Let me get the link for the other one because I forgot to put that in chat. Because I was silly there. There is a town called Malice. Town called Malice, and here is Monster Punk. It's post-apocalyptic with humans, monsters, and humans becoming monsters, they say. It's also funded. It only needed $1,000, and they've made $6,000 so far. It's a little earlier, 9 days to go. It's basically like your characters are making like pacts with like magical things in order to survive a world dominated by monsters, and making those pacts are slowly driving you to become more monstrous kind of things. Which I thought was a very interesting idea. It's a very interesting take on like a post-apocalyptic thing, because it feels like it's meant to be more action-oriented. It's maybe not as focused on like the post-apocalyptic thing. It's just like it's a world that has like links to our own kind of thing, because it's got like gear and technology. But it's like, how much are you willing to become a monster in order to fight the monsters around you? I like that. That's a idea. So, yep. Both those RPGs are funded. They're both very interesting. I would recommend, taking a look at them if you're interested yourself. They're kind of neat. Very different from each other. So,
yes.
Why don't we move on, though, to our next regular segment, where we our week in tabletop. Let's start with you, Joe. You can start with the game.
Sparkle Kitty.
Sparkle Kitty.
So a friend of ours had gotten a Kickstarter and got Sparkle Kitty and Sparkle Kitty Knights.
Yeah.
Sparkle Kitty itself is a matching, almost, I guess you could say a matching game where you're trying to free your princess from a tower. The tower is built up by cards.
Mm-hmm.
You start off with Tower of 4, and whenever you can whenever a special card allows you to draw from your tower, or if you empty your entire hand, you can draw one from your tower.
And you draw upright to like a hand size of 5. I think it's the same either way. Because I only played with the other, which were the both versions exactly the same, or were those more?
The only difference was the tower size two differences was the tower size in Sparkle Kitty Knights is only 3, and then also that.
I mean, we did have that dragon, which was a different rule, I guess.
Well, that's if you have an odd number, and also teams, because the other one's not teams.
Oh, so
the other one is everyone for themselves.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Well, the other ones, there's like 2 teams of knights, because we had our knight characters.
There are good knights and naughty knights. Mm-hmm. Sparkle Kitty Knights also is the slightly more dirty-minded version.
It gives you like word cues that could very easily be interpreted as dirty when they really aren't. That's the thing, is like a lot of the words there, some of them are more
they're
like
double entendres.
Yeah, a lot of them are. And like I guess it's the same way that like you play a card either matching a symbol on the card or the word on the card. Or was it was symbol,
word or color.
Yeah, symbol, word or color. Like if it's going to be word, you probably would have played it earlier.
It's kind of like Uno.
Yeah, it's very Uno-y, except you can't, like, there's, like, an interrupt mechanic that, let's say, like, someone plays, a banana. If I had a banana in my hand, I could play it and say, like, because you have to say all the words that are out.
Double banana.
Yeah, like, double banana, whatever the other word is, yes. Yeah. Or double banana, if it's just the third one played. And then, like...
And if you say double, if the first double, you get to draw 1 from your tower. If you get the second double, then you can draw 2 from the tower.
Yeah. So there is an advantage, and it allows you to basically interrupt. It doesn't stop the turn. It doesn't stop the turn order. It's just an interrupter that I get to play an extra card kind of thing. So it's just like all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, and get cards off your tower, which that's a major goal.
And like if you can't
free your guy,
like if you can't play anything, you drew a card. Which was not helpful, but it got you through it. And then like the object was get down your tower. And I guess it was. On the version, just the normal Sparkle Kitty, every person for themselves trying to get your first out of 4 cards. In the Knights one, where again it was like
you don't know who your teammate is.
Yeah, you don't know who your teammate is, and I believe it was said right. It definitely feels a little more risque, but it's a lot better than, let's say, like it's a better risque than something like Cards Against Humanity when it comes to being played with like certain groups of people. Like you could play with your parents or other like adult members of your family, Sparkle Kitty Knights, and it would sound silly, and maybe like it would make people like have like kind of like adult theme to it without being directly like this is adult. Like I'm sorry, Cards Against Humanity can go very dirty very quickly downhill into the darkness, like into the mud.
But that's what it's meant to do.
Yeah, it's kind of meant.
This one, it flirts with it.
Yes, and I kind of like it better sometimes. I don't mind Cards Against Humanity, but you can play a lot of that and just be like, yeah, this is enough. This one I feel like
also, you have to watch who you play and who's around when you play Cards Against Humanity.
I did like that because you can play, like, adjective cards that you have to add a third word or something, or like
a card on your tower itself.
I like the one I got because I got the one turn it was F *** ing, so it was just like it was effing. I was saying it was like every time I was just because it was a lot of funny things. It was like I was always saying it like I was like tired of it. It was like the gosh darn banana something or other,
Yeah,
I wasn't having any of that shit. Yeah, so it was fun that way. So that was an interesting one. That's definitely one that if our friend would bring back again, I wouldn't mind trying again at some point in time. He does fund a bunch of interesting Kickstarter ones. Some of the ones that there might be ones we've talked about. I don't know. It's hard to tell with him. Other stuff we did. Sundays. We played... My brain is broken today. I can...
Shazbot.
I know. It's like, I'm trying to think of it. It was Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
And I'm
oh, God.
very good at storytelling now. I think I would have been awful at the game a couple years ago.
That one hurt my soul.
I am surprised as how good I've gotten at that game. I'm like, holy crap, I can do this pretty well. And come up with insane stories very quickly off the fly. And of course, poor Umber had the revelation that I, like, spend 5 minutes prepping for Vampire, and then we have awesome sessions, like, almost every time. I don't know how I pull it off every goddamn time, but somehow I just do that shit. It's a skill that I'm, like, developing. It's a skill I would recommend you doing. If you can do, like, some improv stuff and develop it, great on you.
Yeah, when I rarely run a game, it's normally about a 50-50. I do some basic outlining, and then most of it's just, let's see what happens.
I was a lot more, you know, like, just planning previously with a little bit of that. I think it's like, with a good example of Madness, where I'm working off my own work with a little bit of improvisation, now I've kind of hit a good 50-50 stride with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, that's only because I'm, like, making sure to hit that 50-50 stride kind of thing. It's interesting, definitely, the way things have evolved in that game in particular. As something that I'm working out, something that I'm actually writing. It's very different. But no, Once Upon a Time, it was fun. Definitely fun. Then I had Legacies of Kain, where they went to Chicago and met with the Chicago Prince, who's the probably sleaziest man they could have ever met. Headed home and started work on the different adventures, and then Dawn had a major revelation about her own history, that she's not an actual Bruja, she's a true Bruja, and totally that's probably bad for her, in a way, but she hasn't figured that out yet. But also because she can use a new ability, and she claims she's a time wizard now, because she has she's access to the discipline temporis, which is good for her, but bad in a way. And she's a new connection to some people that can help her out in the overall storyline. But this is also, you know, it's like it's a double-edged blade. It's the best way to say it. Double-edged blade that she just got, that I gave her. Because all of them are going to have something like that. Fun times. So, yes, that was Legacies. And then we had Madness, which, Joe, you were there for. How'd you enjoy that? I think it went interestingly.
It was maddening.
Oh, God. You found a fortress of goblins. Technically speaking, you did find the Aragonasi nomads. They just were well hidden, and only one of you noticed, and he didn't say a thing about it.
Yeah.
They were following you for a while, just checking you out because you were in their territory for a couple of days. Doesn't mean I won't still use them, because they might be watching what you're doing with those goblins. They might not like that all the goblins showed up in their territory. Remember, these were the people that were, like, kind of living and ruling over this area for a long period of time. A bunch of nomads that just wander around. So you might make some friends depending on how those things go with these goblins. Hard to say. Or they could just ignore you completely. I haven't decided quite yet, since they did see you. And it's also going to be interesting how things end up with Finger Cutter, because you're in an epic battle with him and his goblin army.
Yeah.
Because you pounded down the front door, basically. You guys were both good and bad at stealth, I'm going to say.
I was good, but
they were good, then were bad, then good, because they were like, hey, front door, we're going to make a lot of noise. And I'm like, well, there's this tent filled with a patrol band of goblins that patrol and hunt the area around here that were resting. You wake them up. The goblinoids. They are going to come out. Only because of calm emotions did you get them to not fight you and just wander away. They'll be back, though, along with other patrol bands.
Yes.
In the meantime, though, you got some goblins to kill.
Also, as a character, I did something stupid, or as a player, I did something stupid, but I stuck to my character.
You did. You did stick to your character, and I knew it would be difficult for what you do to necessarily, like, cause a problem, because it's like, you caused a small fire. It's not great. It'll take a while before it really takes off. And then you shot a dude through his door, which is really unusual and probably would piss anybody off. But he wasn't really the most observant when it came to... He could hear very well,
yes,
but not really see very well. So finding out what the frick was going on, you know...
Yeah.
And also one of them rolled a 20 on like a persuasion check not to get into a fight with that dude. So it was interesting.
Yeah. I'm in now.
Very interesting. Yep. So that was madness. It was a good one.
Yes, it was very good and very weird. Weird decisions we made.
You made decisions. Let's put it that way. You made decisions. They were decisions. They will have consequences. We'll have to see what those consequences are in the next episode. Bom, bom, bom. The dramatic overview music. But anyhow, let's move on to our next regular segment, because we have a couple of them always, and that is Consult the Table. Hey, you out there, do you have a question for us? Something that you think you want to ask us? Go ahead and ask us a question. You can hit us up here at Twitch if you're watching us live. You can hit us up in the description of this when I put it up on the YouTube. You can also hit us up at our Twitters, added below our names here. I mean, Worm, who's been retired for a while now and may someday come back. I mean, you could always hit him up too. I'm sure he wouldn't mind answering you questions about tabletop, but I kind of leave that as a misgivings. I should probably change this back to the 2-player thing. But it's just convenient for if we get a guest. Say.
Yes.
And then, I'll, also, my Discord, linked down below. If you want to go over there, ask me a question. Fact is, depending on the question, we'll just answer it wherever you reach us. Or if it's something that we feel like would be really great to discuss here on the show, we'll bring it in under discussion on the show. If you have a question about a role-playing game, a tabletop game, a card game, like something like Magic, if you're talking about Magic lore, I'll probably answer that. If you're talking about something that seems like an interesting discussion point, like something related to one of the topics we talked about that feel like we should expand upon, we'll talk about it here. And there's also an email, discussingtabletop@yahoo.com, that you could also check us out as a possible way to reach us. So, anyway, thanks everyone for joining us today.
Yep.
Another fun
Thank
episode.
you guys.
Yes. It's, as usual, been a nice, another fun episode. Always enjoy being here to talk with a lot of games with you, Joe, and with our audience to see what they, if they could learn a nice thing or two. We'll be back. We will probably not be back next week. I've got something to do in the afternoon, something family related. If we work out some kind of rescheduling, we'll let you know. The chances are slim. We don't usually reschedule things, but we will definitely inform you if something comes up on that end. Otherwise, we'll be back definitely in 2 weeks. If we're looking for some of our other tabletop stuff, we'll be both playing Sundays at Tabletop tomorrow. We should be good to go, right, Joe?
Yep.
And I'll be around for both role-playing games this week. And do expect some news of some other role-playing games soon. I've, begun the basics of organizing some things. I have some players here and there for different games. I just have to finish getting enough for all the stuff we want to do. So, anyway, thanks for joining us. And see you next time, folks.
More.